Yeah, good morning, Gunesh. So what's the question for today?
Yeah, good morning, sir. Today's question is what security measures are integrated into our custom software solutions?
Wow, okay. Thank you. In fact, this is one question that almost all our customers who've taken up a project with us, they ask us this question because obviously, it's a big concern for companies when they move their entire software onto the cloud, onto the internet. One of the usual concerns that companies have is how can I be assured that my data is secure? Because the assumption is that if it is sitting on a computer in my office or in my factory, it's secure. It's kept inside my room and it's locked. But that's actually an illusion. It need not be secure just because it's sitting inside a particular premises where you're working. So there is a natural concern that, okay, if I move all this to the cloud and I don't know where the cloud is, it might be in a server in India, in my local location, or maybe in another country. So I don't have a clue what might happen to my data. And data is everything. You lose your data and it may even bring down the entire organization. So companies are concerned about data security and security in general, security measures. So there are various steps that we take to ensure that there is security to the data, to the software itself, and the data and the security of the software is taken care. So few of them that we do is, one is we take care of the authorization levels and the access control levels. So there are basic security measures that have to be implemented, like SQL injection or various other processes that have to be brought in into the database creation, into the access control, where we ensure that only the authorized people can access the software. And if they are not authorized, if they are not given a pre-approved access to the software, they cannot enter into the software. And even when it comes to the members or the employees who have access to the software, they will also be given restricted access. So the super admin or the management team can decide who will have access to which part of the software. So if they would like, if a team member tries to access an area where they do not have an access, it will automatically log them out. So this is one basic way of ensuring that we take care of some level of security. Now, next level of security, a high level of security can be given through data encryption. So what happens is when we are saving data into a database, there are chances that this data might get exposed for whatever reason. And any critical data inside this data set, the entire data of the organization, if there is any critical portion of it, it can be encrypted so that even if it falls in the wrong hands, not because of this security lapses, but because probably an employee or somebody without any ill intention just expose the data somehow, the data will not be in a readable format. So it will be like a junk. And this data encryption takes care of some level of security so that there is no important information being shared outside the organization. So that's another way of ensuring security measures. And I would say the third one would be, what happens in software industry is every software, every tech stack, for let's say Angular or React or Java, Node, there's a big list. It undergoes a regular set of updates. So there are new versions that keep coming up, and all these tech stacks, they keep deprecating their own code. They keep taking out certain code which they feel that, okay, it's not secure enough and it needs to be improved. So they come up with a new version of a small piece of code and they keep deprecating it. So what we do as a custom software development company, we always recommend our customers to have a annual maintenance with us, where we ensure that all such deprecated code is continuously replaced with the latest updates. So this is another way of ensuring that the software remains secure. So this is the third step that we follow. The fourth one would be a real-time backup facility. So all our softwares, we host them on various hosting providers. All of them have real-time backup provision. So what happens is, even if by mistake an employee, without knowing, ends up deleting something which was not supposed to have been done. Of course, there are ways to understand who deleted it, at what time they've deleted it. There are also ways of, where we can actually say what was the deleted item, what even if it is deleted, we can still have a copy of it in the database as part of the functionality of the software. Or even if something happens to the database and it's corrupted, we always have a real-time database. We can just restore it back even a few minutes back or an hour back. So the damage that is done is minimal. So this is another, it's not directly a security measure, but it is definitely a way of ensuring that the operations of the organization are going on in a seamless manner, and there is no disruption happening. So these are the four different ways. And of course, the fifth one is a general one. So we all know various hosting service providers. We have the big names like Amazon, AWS, Google, Azure, where these servers and even other well-renowned servers do have their own security measures that they put in to ensure that the softwares are run in a proper way, and there are no malware attacks, or there are no hackers trying to get into the software. So that is also something that we recommend. So we always recommend highly secure servers, and we recommend the customers to um, incur that little bit of an additional cost required to put that extra security layers that are there in the hosting providers. So I can think of these five. Truly, Gunesh, there are plenty of other things that we can do, which are very small, but collectively they make a software highly secure and ensure that the customers are able to run their organization and use their software and keep continuing to grow. Yeah, that's it, Gunesh. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Just summarizing up what you said, the points which we take or integrate in our software solutions for security is first thing is, as you said, authorization of users, like providing access to respective people only. And the second is data encryption to protect our data. And then the third is like regularly update the deprecating code or be updated to the latest tech stack. The next factor is like taking regular backups of the code in case, even if not a security threat, but it's good to have a backup regularly to avoid any stoppage in the efficiency of the company or operations of an organization. And last point is like having a good hosting, like taking good companies, and they also provide security from their side. And also it also helps in improving the security of the software. So if I may ask, while you are saying this answer, a question came up to mind. So
Yeah.
while developing a project, how much this security factor like alter the cost of a project? Is it very important or to have a high level security, or how does it like determine the cost of a project, or how do we determine how much security is needed for a software?
Yeah, sure. See, first thing you mentioned about real time, the backup. You said regular backups. It's not regular backups. I meant real time backup. That is, if even if a number is updated in the database, it's backed up. Okay, so it's a real time
Okay,
backup that we always recommend.
okay,
Okay, that's
got
what.
it.
Okay, now coming to your question. See, certain portions that I mentioned, like for example, authorization and access control is a standard feature. We do not, I mean, you cannot give a software without proper authorization checks and proper access controls until and unless it's only a single user always, where there you need not have an access control. So that comes as a standard. There is no way we can give a different set of proposal, high cost or low cost for that. Rest of the features that I mentioned, it depends from customer to customer. For example, data encryption, it might not be chosen by all the customers because they may not really have anything very sensitive data that is getting saved. They might be okay with not wanting to have data encryption, and definitely the cost comes down because we need not have to put those algorithms there or take care of any of that. So definitely the cost comes down. And few customers do not take a annual maintenance, so they are okay with the software running by itself probably for a few years, and when it breaks, probably they come back to us. So there also, if there is no regular updates, from the second year onwards there is no costing, but the first year the cost remains the same because we give first year maintenance as a package. We do not allow the customer to say, no, I don't want a first year maintenance, because as a custom software there's always a fine tuning that happens, there is always an adaptation that happens, and that's one of the reasons why custom software solutions have more success rate than product software being adaptable. Okay, I mean getting accepted by companies. So custom software, that's one of the reasons why. So we first year we take care of the whatever updates are required or whatever maintenance is required. Everything we take care. Backup also, some companies are not very particular about backup because their data, they just want some kind of current data or some operations that are happening. They're not very particular about backup, or they'll say I myself will log into the server and probably download the whole thing and keep it on my local machine. So though even in that case the hosting cost comes down a bit. So the software
Okay.
cost remains the same, but the hosting cost comes down a bit because there is no additional backup space required or backup services required. And coming to the hosting, again, secure servers like AWS, Google, Azure. Again, customers have a choice. Sometimes we have seen customers coming up with their own data centers, not their in-house data centers. I mean, they have hired data center from someone whom they know. Their costs might be a little low, and they insist that okay, let's put the software over there. So again, the hosting cost comes down a bit because obviously when you go with Amazon, Google, Azure, and all the big, they provide that kind of services. They give support, so their costs might be on a leveled in a way that it might be a little higher than few local providers. But we always recommend good hosting services to our customers. But some customers do choose their own hosting and they come to us and request us to put it there. We go ahead with that. And in that case, again, the hosting can come down a little bit. So everywhere, as you said rightly, the cost can vary depending on what the customer needs. But that is where we come in. We always try to understand the client's requirement, the level of operations, and we always recommend what is correct for the customer. But of course, customer decides on certain parameters, and the cost might vary a little bit. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much. Bye.